Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new movie review. Yeah, today I'm going to be talking about Thor Love and Thunder. But don't worry, I'm not going to spoil the film. I'm not going to go into spoiler territory. It's just going to be um, a very, not in-depth review, but tell you my thoughts on it, what worked, what doesn't work, all that sort of nonsense. So, yeah, Thor Love and Thunder. Now, I will be honest, I wasn't sure if I was going to be going to see this film. I was in a live stream last night and I did say I had no plans to go and see it. But I had a couple of hours spur of the moment. Bam, I went in and I saw this film. Of course, it's an MCU film, it's a Marvel film. I see the Marvel films, I love the Marvel films. So, this is the fourth Thor film that we've got. This is the first solo character movie to have hit four movies within the MCU. The only other MCU's films that have hit four movies is the Avengers team up films. Obviously, this film is directed and written by Taika Waititi, who had previously written and directed Thor Ragnarok. So you can expect much of the same. The humour levels are ramped up high. Now, the film does have Chris Hemsworth return as Thor. Natalie Portman, Jane Foster, Christian Bale stars as the primary villain of the piece. Taika Waititi is in the role of Korg and voices Korg. And there's a wealth of other talent within the film, including the Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, you know, this isn't spoiling nothing, but the Guardians of the Galaxy are there at the start of the film. Yeah, I won't say no more about that. They're there. Now the film itself, it's tough to talk about without going into any detail into the plot, and I'm not going to touch upon the plot whatsoever. Right now, the film is well paced for the most part. It's lavish, it's beautiful, it is colourful. The costume department have done wonders. Thor's new suit is striking. Its colour scheme is striking and it stands out. Natalie Portman, as you know, she plays the mighty Thor, or female Thor. She looks fantastic in costume. Her story does work. I will say that. The reason as to why she gets Mjolnir, why she gets the Thor powers, it works in the context of the story. And she has a fantastic story arc throughout the film. I will say that about it. And once you get to once as the film progresses, you come to understand how maybe they managed to lure Natalie Portman back to the role, because as you know, historically she kind of wasn't very happy with the character and she kind of stepped away from Marvel, didn't want nothing more to do it, but then she's back in a primary role in Thor. So you know, you understand that. Now, Christian Bale as the villain, Christian Bale was very good in the film, very strong, gave a strong performance. Villain's motivations were strong, and there was a kind of a mirroring between his story and the story of Jane Foster as the film progressed. You'll see what I mean when you see the film. So his story was, you know, although visually he's not a very aesthetically pleasing looking character, his storyline was fine and he was good. Now, there are Thor is given other powers that we haven't yet seen, and these powers open up certain questions as to why wouldn't you do that during the battle with Thanos and this sort of thing. You do have that sort of element to it, which I didn't really like. Now, like I said, the film is very much played for laughs, with a very serious undertone story going through it, that may resonate personally with a lot of people, which is fantastic when a film does that, regardless of, you know, again, you'll see what I mean. You know, the pacing was fine, but I did find that the middle of the film, it did kind of lapse off a bit and then come back towards the end. So much so I did start to like doze. I did doze and I probably lost 5 minutes of the film, in all honesty. Now, that might be partly because I'm tired. I'm tired. Now, how does this film... Unfortunately, the biggest unfortunate thing I can say about this film is it feels like the Thor films have taken a step backwards. Obviously, Thor Ragnarok, whether you... a lot of people did like it. It resonated a lot with a lot of people because this is where they finally sort of defined who the MCU Thor was and how they're going to have Thor move forward within the MCU. As you know, there was a bit of a character change of Thor himself into this comedic kind of a character, and that stuck. Now, like I say, this film has taken a step back, but primarily because when you saw Thor Ragnarok, it was so fresh. It was so, what they'd done with the character was new and interesting and intriguing. But since then, obviously, we have seen the character in Ragnarok. We've seen him in the Avengers films that came later, and we've become accustomed to this character. So that sort of freshness appeal has waned on this film. So even though it is quite amusing and it is quite good, it isn't as good as that film for that reason. The film has a slew of cameos. It does. Again, I won't say who, what, how, but just keep your eye open all the way through. Characters you haven't seen for a while, threads from sort of the previous Thor film carried in with characters appearing and this sort of stuff, and that was really good. It was really nice to see this return of that sort of stuff. So overall, I'll be honest, I think for me the film falls somewhere in the middle of the MCU film series. I don't know how I'd rank it as a Thor film. Ragnarok's my favourite. Dark World is the least favourite, and I don't know. I'm undetermined as to whether I'd take this above Thor itself. Now, I enjoyed Thor. I had no problem with Thor, and a lot of people did. So I'm unsure whether it's a level on with that for me. But it's somewhere on that sort of middle table of MCU films, maybe edging towards the latter bottom half for me. But that's just my opinion. Now, there you go. I'm going to leave it there because, like I said, I didn't want to spoil it. I didn't want to go into spoiler territory. Just give you some thoughts. And I've got a lot to process with the film as well. I will come back with a full review of the film, but I'll probably give it a couple of weeks or something like that. I'll leave you with this because everyone wants to see this film, and I just wanted to let you know what my thoughts on it without spoiling anything for you. But I hope you enjoy. This is AJ. See you on the next one. Take care all. Goodbye.